Was that me?
Well, we're going to stand by for a second because I just apparently
Because
made
yeah,
a
because
mistake.
I imagined you were going to jump in, not me, right?
I
Yeah.
am. I
I
am.
don't start. You start. Yeah. Okay. Oh, did we get the real estate numbers?
No, we didn't.
Oh, drats.
Display capture. That's still not working right. Okay. Which means we're changing the display capture to discard.
Is my cup in view if I put it way over here?
That's much better. Much better. Good morning and afternoon, wherever you are watching this live. My name is Jared Uraine, and this is Real Estate and the Economy This Week. In today's episode, Miguel A. Francis is our
That's right.
obviously guest. And what I'm going to do is bring him in on the chat so that we can work together. Mike, how are you, sir?
Hey, my brother. I'm doing all right, Jared. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Hanging in there. Hanging in there. You enjoying your day
We've
so
been
far?
doing. Oh yeah, you and I started off at 5 a.m. recording something else, and yeah, it's been a good. I've been working since 2 a.m. So we're good. Well, I took time for lunch.
And what
Yeah.
did your lunch include?
It was egg burritos with Mariana salsa. It was outstanding. With freshly grilled tortillas, scrambled eggs, Mariana salsa, little jalapenos. It was outstanding.
Right on, man.
Yeah,
Right on.
yeah.
Sounds refreshing, that's for sure.
It was. It was great. Yeah.
It sounds like we have some refreshing news in the news of the economy today. Let me
Yeah.
get our introductions
Define
taken care of.
define refreshing, but yeah. Okay.
All right. Let me get our
Depends on who
introductions
you
taken
are.
care of,
Okay.
and then we'll get started here. First
Right
of all,
on.
thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jared Uraine with the Uraine Ordonez 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty, and we are back to a live episode today, ironing out all of the kinks, flexing how nimble we can be when it comes to making adjustments. Our commitment is to make sure that you get the right information the first time. This podcast is all about breaking down the economy. It might be boring to some, but really these are the gears that change the and impact the way we live on a day-to-day basis,
Hmm.
including
Hmm.
what it means to be paying higher prices everywhere we look. And so our goal is to make
Hmm.
sure that you get not just the right information the first time, but being able to help you understand what are these changes, how might they impact us on a daily. This is Real Estate and the Economy This Week with the Blind Economist, Mike Francis, and myself, Jared Uraine, here at Vice Realty. Please be sure to subscribe. And if you find this content valuable, please go ahead and share that as well. Mike, let's dive right in, man. This
All
week,
right.
your newsletter talks about some of the challenges that Warren Buffett is dealing with.
Yeah. It's a challenge, right? He's got an extra $147 billion burning a hole in his pocket. That's a challenge. I'd like to have that challenge, but okay. Yeah.
I mean, they call them whales at the casino, and I don't think he does a lot of gambling. He does a lot of calculated math, but I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he is with that kind of
He's
money,
a
man.
market
It's
mover. He's a market mover, is
market
what it is.
mover
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what
Yeah,
is this challenge that he has with 149 billion?
well, $147 billion. Warren Buffett, um, he's almost reached the highest amount of cash that they've had in that organization. He's near it, and the challenge is that he's finding it difficult to buy stock or equities at a valued price that he believes that are going to outperform fixed income, and so that's the challenge. Warren Buffett, he likes to hit, the S&P 500 average at a minimum, and he'd like to exceed it. Well, the S&P 500, if you were to uh, automate it since 1929, it comes out to just a tad over 10%, right?
Hmm.
And Warren Buffett's organization in Q2, they did great, but they only made 7%. And that's not Warren Buffett's target. That's not at all his target. They can't find the value stocks, or they can't find the stocks that they see an upside to that are going to exceed, meet their target of 10% or greater. So they just keep hanging on to their cash.
So it now
Matter of
becomes
fact, they bought quite.
this now becomes a
Go
cash
ahead.
hoard. Is that what it is?
Yeah, no, not really. It's not like he's holding cash as a defensive position. No, he has the cash because he can't find something to spend it on. So let's say you're saving up to buy a house, right? And your goal is to save $20,000 to put down on the house, but you can't find the house you like. So pretty soon you're still saving, and you got 25,000. Then you got 30,000, but you still haven't found the house you like. All of a sudden you find yourself with $47,000 because you can't find that real estate opportunity you've been looking for, and that's kind of the position Warren Buffett's in.
Fascinating challenge to be in. So the goal for him is obviously to pull the trigger on something that will be lucrative in a certain period of time. And you're saying
Right.
that his target number, what is that typically that he's looking for? About 10% or more?
Or greater, yeah, yeah. And Warren Buffett made a bet with hedge funds at one time. It was $1 million bet, because if you're Warren Buffett, it would be embarrassing to bet less than $1 million, right? So he bet the hedge funds $1 million that Warren Buffett was just going to buy the S&P 500 and hold it for 10 years, and the hedge funds had to beat the S&P 500 over that 10-year period. Who do you think won that bet?
Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. And so he got his $1 million because the hedge funds could not exceed it. That's Warren Buffett's target, is to exceed the S&P 500. Right now it's a challenge because fixed income, which Warren Buffett bought $10 billion of fixed income, I think last Monday. And the only question is he going to buy another 10 billion in the next 3 to 6 months? And he's going to. But fixed income, right now, you can buy attractive fixed income anywhere from 5 to 7%. Fixed income meaning, municipal bonds, treasuries, corporate bonds, things like that. If you're getting, let's just pick a middle of the road number, 6% on municipal bonds or treasuries, right? They don't have the same downside risk as do stocks. I own some muni bonds out of Florida, right? And I'm getting over 5.25, which is because I bought them some time back. They're probably paying more now. But anyway, I got them at 5.25. That county that I purchased those from would have to go bankrupt for me to lose my money. That's not the case in stocks. Stocks values fluctuate. They go up and down. And the reality is, and Warren Buffett knows it, as a whole, the market is pretty much going to go sideways. It's going to be stagnation probably for a couple of years. And so it's hard to find equity positions that are going to create enough of a margin between fixed income and the volatility of stocks. They have to have a significant enough margin to take that risk. And he can't find something that exceeds it enough.
So speaking of fixed income, you on your channel at the Blind Economist have been focused on this particular subject. Let's take a moment and plug your services that you're doing over the Blind Economist, and then break down what the fixed income is for those who don't know what that means.
Well, I got to tell you, the reason that you're talking about my personal finance episode, and the reason that's working out is I have this amazing, brand new, wet behind the ears co-host. What's his name? Oh, yeah, Jared Uraine from the Five Diamond Group. Yeah.
Still working out the kinks, man.
Yeah, that's all right. But we've been talking about the importance of savings, and you have found 3 high-yield savings accounts, all paying over 5%. I'll tell you what's interesting about that is Apple, who's underwritten by Goldman Sachs, because Apple's not a financial institution. Obviously, a financial institution has to underwrite it. Apple has a high yield savings account paying 4.15%. And they have hit the $10 billion mark recently with that 4.15%. If you go to the personal finance of the Blind Economist, you'll find high yield savings account all in excess of 5%.
Right.
And then you and I did CDs this last Monday, which The highest yielding one was 7%, and you only had to hold it for 11 months. The other two were north of 5. I can't remember how much. And then you and I did money markets that'll come out next Monday. Again, all above 5%. Anyway, those are all fixed income products, money market, CD, savings accounts, because whatever you put into them, there's no downside. They're not going to lose value. They're going to give you an APY, annual percentage yield, of 5 to 7%. And that's Warren Buffett's problem. He knows he can get fixed income products at 5 to 7%. Well, if equities are, as a matter of fact, his organization only did 7% in Q2, he might as well have just bought fixed income and taken the month off. Right? Yeah.
And so from those who are new to our channel or even to yours, the Blind Economist can be found on Google, on YouTube. You're also on LinkedIn and a couple of other the social networks, but you're focused on all sorts of financial positions, yes?
Yeah, we talk about how to manage your household finances, how to balance your credit, how to create a budget, how to save, and how to invest in eventually we'll get into equities. Right now we're focused on fixed income. And then also on Thursday we do Money Matters, where we just talk about the market as a whole, you know.
Yep.
And then we have another episode on Sunday.
Awesome. Awesome. So with this challenge that that Warren is standing by with, what impact does that create for us as the daily consumer? What does that potentially create for us in the future?
Well, what's happening with Warren Buffett, and I always struggle to say Berkshire Hathaway.
Right.
What's happening at Berkshire Hathaway is simply an indication of their idea of what's going to happen in the overall economy. Now, in that article, I quote how Warren Buffett says, the downgrading of the credit worthiness of the U.S., no big deal, except that's what's causing his problem. When the credit rating of the U.S. was downgraded, that meant that in order to attract global interest in U.S. bonds and treasuries, the United States, now that it has a lower credit rating, has to pay higher interest rates to draw other countries, other institutional investors to make those investments. So that means, again, back to fixed income, which is corporate bonds, municipal bonds, treasuries, CDs, money markets, and high yield savings. That's all fixed income stuff. When it can compete at 5 to 7%, it's matching the equity market stocks without the downside. And that's the problem Warren Buffett has. What that tells us, to answer your question, is when the downgrade, as a matter of fact, a story came out today and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. There's something going on that impacted the market because of the downgrade of the U.S. credit. That's going to impact Wall Street, which it already has. That's why Warren Buffett can't find anything to purchase. And in time, it'll impact Main Street, just like it did in 2011. History is a beautiful thing. It tells us how when we make the same mistake over and over again, it's similar. There's only one difference. Could you imagine what that might be, Jared? Every time we make the same mistake, it's exactly the same, but there's one significant difference.
What?
It's worse. It's worse. So I'll give you for instance, the downgrade of the credit in 2011, that was like the initial shock of an earthquake. Having it happen again just this year, 12 years later, is like an aftershock that was just as strong as the original earthquake, and it causes more significant damage because they haven't recovered from the first time around. You know, and so what's going on with Berkshire Hathaway simply is an indication that the market is going to go into stagnation, meaning it's going to be kind of stagnant. That's going to tighten credit for Main Street, and it's going to cause stocks to not perform, underperform, and it'll impact all of us in time. You know, it's definitely going to slow the economy. Of course, people have been saying that for 18 months. I'm a little embarrassed to even dare that statement, but in theory, it's going to slow the economy, and that's what Warren Buffett seems to think. And Warren Buffett is Warren Buffett. If he thinks it, then you got to pay attention. I'm just saying, Warren Buffett, I agree with most everything. Jamie Dimon's another one most of the time. I disagree with both those guys on one thing. The downgrade of the credit worthiness in the United States, much bigger thing than either of those guys are saying. It's not a big deal if you're Warren Buffett or Jamie Dimon.
Yeah,
It is if you're somebody else.
right.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
two takeaways that I take from what you're explaining here. The cost of things are going to go up because the U.S. has to pay a higher price in order
Imagine
to
that
adjust.
more cost increase. Who would have ever thunk that, right?
Right? Yeah, kind of A and B. But it also is an opportunity for someone who needs to, who wants to get into investing of some sort, to be able to put in a decent amount into one of these fixed income and get a very decent rate,
Mhm.
over 5% more than likely. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Five and the CD that we found. That
Last
was
week.
Monday's episode,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yesterday.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
we recorded last week, but it came out yesterday. Yeah. For you and me, it was last week, but for everybody else, it came out yesterday. A CD at 7%, you only have to hold it for 11 months,
Mm-hmm.
and it's $1,000 investment. Wow, that's the easiest 7%.
You're gonna get.
Do some quick math for me. What's 72 divided by 7? It's in the neighborhood of 10, right?
Yeah, 72 divided. Yeah, it's gonna be 10 and change. So I'm just pulling it up here. 10.28.
So you double your money in 10.28 years if you can maintain a 7%, return on your investments.
Nice.
That's the way you do. It's called the rule of 72.
Sure.
So whatever you think you can get. So let's figure out what Warren Buffett, how often he likes to double his money. His goal is 10%. So the answer is he doubles his money because if you took 72 divided by 10, he doubles his money every 7.2 years because that's his target.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to wait 10 years like the rest of us. So I get it.
Cool.
Makes sense.
So just wanted to catch up with your question that came in about an hour ago regarding the update with the credit rating. On August 1st, Fitch Ratings, one of the 3 private credit rating firms, downgraded the U.S. credit rating from AAA to double A plus. This was the second time in the nation's history that the U.S. credit rating was downgraded. Fitch cited a steady deterioration in standards of governance and fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years as reasons for the downgrade. It came 2 months after the debt ceiling crisis was resolved. Now, in the most recent news about an hour ago, the credit agency said late on Monday that it's warning 3 banks of ongoing strain in the U.S. banking sector and increased pressures on funding of potential weaknesses for these lenders in order for them to stay in strong. The reaction on that is that the stock market sank today. The Dow ended today's session at 159 points, 0.5 lower, and the S&P declined by 0.4.
Okay.
So that's
update for you. That's mild. Yeah, that's mild. But you know what? That makes perfect sense. Did they name the 3 banks?
Bank stocks fell on the news. It didn't specify the banking collapse.
Oh, I'm going to have to
Didn't say
research
which
that.
banks.
Yeah. But that kind of goes to my point, right? This came out today, Saturday. Warren Buffett said, downgraded the credit means nothing. Jamie Dimon, if I was not blind, I'd have a life-size poster of the guy, right? But I'm blind, so I'm not going to have it, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm a Jamie Dimon. There you go. Well, there's a lot of things in my mind. But anyway, so Jamie Dimon, he's brilliant. I'm a Jamie Dimon fan, but he's wrong about the creditworthiness of the United States being downgraded. He's convince other investors it doesn't matter. Just keep doing what you do, unless it matters. And according to what you just told me today, it matters.
Yeah,
I knew that story was coming out.
Well, my friend,
we're back to that.
Yeah. So as it turns out, our numbers for the real estate update from last month haven't arrived. Usually it's arrived on the second Tuesday.
I thought you were about to tell me it was going to come right now. Doggone it.
No,
I thought,
I wish it
wow,
did.
good, a live update. Yeah.
But we can, what I can report is that we are seeing what we expect. And what we have expected is that activity, inventory, and demand have all kind of gone over the hump. We're heading down towards the end of the year, and so we will continue to see that trend. Now, we don't of course expect that to head towards any sort of crash. We just see a very typical cyclical slowing in this part of the year, and that
Right.
should help as far as our inventory goes in the local marketplace. Mainly because our inventory levels have been under 2 months, and we don't want to get back to 2021 where it was under 1 month. So
Right.
this refresh should help the market be able to get better inventory, and we will also see what happens with inflation and how it impacts mortgage rates for buyers and buyer demand. So those are the things that we're paying attention to over the next week here on the real estate side. You've got anything else you want to add there, Mike, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, you threw it in there. CPI, inflation. CPI numbers come out on Thursday.
Yep.
I happen to know that oil prices yesterday, I haven't checked them today, were in excess of $81 a barrel. Now, that's going to have a major impact on headline inflation. So we'll see what headline inflation comes in at on Thursday, and core inflation's been awful sticky. So anyway, we want to look at the consumer price index on Thursday and see what it comes in at. That'll be exciting.
Right on.
And then the last thing, with bonds and treasuries going up, that's going to cause mortgages an upward pressure. I know we say this over and over again. Everybody else likes to say, oh yeah, mortgages are going to come down later in the year. That's true when you're asleep and dreaming. Yeah. In the real world, that's not going to happen. So
Right.
Please don't wait until that happens, because it's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, just get this in your mind and say it like a mantra. 7% is a good rate. 7% is a good rate. Because you know what? You don't want to be you don't want to be saying, well, I wish I could have got 7 because now it's 7 3/4. You don't want to be there.
Yep.
That's a lot less house.
True that, man. True to that. Miguel, before we
Marry
go,
the house, date the.
your connections, how they can reach you?
Oh, sure. They can read, well, like you mentioned earlier, just search Google. I'm number 1 and number 2 on Google. I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, Meta, which formerly Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, and Instagram, who seems to have kept their name. They're confusing everybody. Yeah, so you can reach me on any of those. Yeah, but YouTube or just search Google. I'm position 1 and position 2. So.
Little pop quiz for you. If Twitter is now named X, tweets were
As in
previously called
X-ray.
Tweets on Twitter were called tweets. What do you call a post now in X?
In X, good grief.
Expletives.
Like the. Oh, gosh. I thought what came to mind was the X, but that's a different topic for a different type of episode.
There we
That's
go.
not us. But,
we are live from
yeah.
Vegas, and that will wrap up this episode. Bonk.
I like it.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with someone who might appreciate it, or someone you really want to bore one way or the other. We appreciate it. And please be sure to click that reminder bell, and feel free to follow us on all of the social outlets. 5 Diamond Group. You can reach our website at 5diamondgroup.vegas, which gives you access to the entire MLS current inventory, as well as scheduling for your private consultation. My name is Jared Uraine with the 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Clear?